What's going on, guys? I thought I would make a quick video demonstrating some of the best techniques I've seen and best uses I've seen of a fan puller, motor puller, blade puller, whatever you want to call it. Big controversy, big debate, use one, not use one, should you need to use one. I keep one. I've had one for years. There's two versions of it. The one I'm going to show you is the best fan puller to have for what you need to do. I've seen about 4 or 5 techniques demonstrating best uses for this fan puller and how to use it properly in different ways. I'm going to show you that with this blower wheel is going to be part of my demonstration here. I'm not going to show you how I typically do it, which is without using a fan puller. I've got a few videos that I've put up. I'll put descriptions of those or links to those videos in the description, so you can go back and watch those, me changing condenser fan motors and blower motors without using a fan puller. I typically, obviously, need some penetrant. I use PB Blaster, and then I've got some of the Kano Aerocoil that I use. Been using that for years. These are the two products I like to use the most. I'm not going to use WD-40. Piece of sandpaper and a wrench here. And I keep a rubber mallet in case you need to knock it, bump it, pop it down. Usually I don't have to use that the way I do it, but from time to time it still wants to stick a little bit. You can give that thing a good bump. It's rubber, so it's not gonna mushroom the top of the shaft. But you can see here what we've got is this thing's rusted pretty good, guys. I mean, you can get down there and look at that. That thing's got a lot of good rust built up on it. Typically what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull out my lock set screw. It holds this wheel to the shaft on the flat side of the shaft. I'm going to take that out. When I get that out, first thing I'm going to do is stick it in my pocket because I don't want to lose it. If you lose that, you're kind of up shit creek. But I do keep a few extra ones on the truck that I've taken from older units that have been dropped off into scrap when the systems have been replaced. And I will obviously spray a little bit of penetrant back up inside the hole to get it in there. And then I'm going to spray the whole shaft. Some people don't do that. I do. Let it soak a little bit, soften up that rust for about a minute. And then I'm going to take the sandpaper and I'm going to go around this thing. I'm going to clean it up real good, get it nice and smooth, back to fresh metal. I'm going to spray a little bit more. The reason I spray it on there is while I'm sanding it off, already having some of that penetrant on there is actually going to go ahead and lubricate your shaft for you as well. But there's different techniques. They both work. This is just the way I do it. But anyway, once I get all that done, I'm going to take a brush. I'm going to squirt a little bit more lubricant down in here because I want to wash any of that rust debris out of that crevice down here around this hub. Make sure, because you can still, if you got any rust crumbles down in here, still stuck inside that thing, you go to get this thing and slide it off, they get wedged down in there, and then it locks it back to the shaft, and you kind of start from scratch again. So I'm going to take that brush and a little bit more lubricant, and I'm going to clean all that out real good so I just don't run the risk of jamming that thing up. You can go ahead and knock the wheel back down to get the fresh metal if you want and start. Both ways have worked fine for me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one side of this housing and I'm going to just kind of get down. I'm going to prop one side of the housing on my knee. I'm going to hold the other side with my hand, and then I'm going to take this after I've broken it free, and I'm just going to spin the shaft in there, break it loose. Typically, sometimes with me, the experience has been the weight of the motor will go ahead, once you start spinning that thing, we'll go ahead and pull it down, slide it through, the weight will pull it through. Or you can take something soft and bump it a few times and let it drop, but you've got to get it set up somewhere where there's nothing under it so it'll fall on out. But that's how I typically get it out. It works pretty much every time. I've had this puller on the truck for a while. I'm going to show you the one I use and why I use it, and how I have my puller kit set up. This is the puller I use. You can get that little short fat one that has the 4 lock screws around it, but the inside of those screw heads are smooth and rounded, and it wants to keep, as you pull and crank on it, it's going to keep sliding off the hub, and it's worthless. So this is the one that I use, that I'm going to take 3/4 inch socket, slide it on top, once I get it mounted to the hub. And obviously when you're putting it on the hub, you want to put this, your hole in your hub where your lock screw goes in between one of these sets of screws, lock screws, because if you crimp this thing down on that screw real good, you're going to damage the hole. You're not going to get the set screw back in. You're going to end up having to get a wheel. So always be mindful of that. But anyway, once I've got it on, I'm going to put this 3/4 inch socket on top, keep a adjustable wrench in the bag, and then I keep a 3/16 12 point closed in wrench. And then I'm just gonna put that there. I'm gonna put this here, and I'm just gonna simply start cranking. And that's, I don't need an impact driver, I don't need to get a drill, I don't need a wire brush to clean the shaft, all that kind of fancy jazz you see people doing on YouTube. It just, you don't need all that. Simple setup. Notice how clean and shiny it is. You're going to understand why in just a minute. But that's the setup I use for a motor puller. And I keep it in this little bag. And that's where it stays most of the time, but because I really don't use it. But I'm ready to show you some of the best uses I've seen for this thing in relation to what it's made for and what you can use it for when you're trying to get one of these apart. So I'm going to show them to you in order 1 through 5, and hopefully you'll get something from that and learn something from that, and learn different ways you can use this motor puller to make your job and your life a lot simpler. Gotta tell you guys, it's a little windy out here today. Damn, sorry about that. Use number 1, paperweight. Maybe also somewhere in the house you've got a door that doesn't want to, maybe wants to swing a little closed. You push it back, and you don't want to put a hook or something somewhere to grab hold of it. So, I mean, you don't have a door stop. Right there you go. Now you got a door stop. Works good. Maybe some of you have some of these drawers in the house. You just hadn't gotten around to repairing them yet. The rails have come loose or something. You pull them out and they want to hang a little bit and drop. Well, just take your commercial load calculation book, nice and thick. Set your motor puller on top of that. They kind of work hand in hand for residential heating and air. And then just slide that out. Sit that drawer right on top. This thing's adjustable. You can crank it down, crank it up, adjust your height. Works perfect for that. And also, another use, if you're someone that has a taste for HVAC decor in your office, the lamp definitely makes an attractive HVAC lamp. It just adds a little taste to your office. This is probably the best use. And of course, last but not least, yeah, alright, I think that gets my point across. Guys, like, subscribe, appreciate you watching. Have a good one, and we will see you on the other side.